This. It's 1995. The school bell rings, and like clockwork, you race home. Your backpack gets tossed into the corner, and the TV comes to life. Oh, it's morphin' time. Power Rangers is on. For a kid like you, nothing else mattered. Weekdays were a whirlwind of brightly colored spandex, giant robots, and villains so over the top, they were unforgettable. You had the toys, right? I did. The Megazord, the action figures, and even those weirdly sticky playsets. And in the movie, oh my gosh, the Ivan Ooze, just the music, the skydiving, the roller skating, just, man, look, the Power Rangers weren't just heroes. They were legends, icons of pure 90s Saturday morning nostalgia. Fast forward to now. Let's admit it. Marvel, DC, and with both of them doing this multiverse nonsense, it's getting pretty stale. The world's a little bit darker, a bit messier. So let's enter The Boys.
Hey, yo!
First time you watched it, it was like someone pulled back the curtain on everything you thought and knew about superheroes. Behind the flashy costumes and epic battles were shady deals, massive egos, and collateral damage to the size of entire cities. Suddenly, the heroes weren't heroes anymore. They were flawed, dangerous, human, and we couldn't get enough. With the brutal honesty, the satire, the chaos, it never felt more much needed of a gut punch to the traditional superhero formula that we've been getting for the last 10 or so years. The Boys is something that saved, I would think, saved the superhero genre in media. But people doesn't really like the last season. And I understand it wasn't all that. It wasn't the best season, but it wasn't bad. I whatever. We'll see in season 5, okay? Now, imagine taking the same gritty destruction of heroism and applying it to the same Power Ranger style nostalgia that you had in your childhood. And that's where Go Go Loser Ranger steps in. A wild ride that takes everything you thought you knew about the superhero-verse villain story and flips it on its head. Let's dive in. It all started with Super Sentai, a franchise that kicked off in the late 70s with Hitsumitsu Sentai Go Ranger. Created by Toei Company, Super Sentai became a cultural phenomenon in Japan, with its colorful teams, giant mechas, and high-energy battles. Each season introduced new characters, themes, and over-the-top villains, laying the foundation for the genre we know today. Fast forward into the 90s, Saban had a brilliant, or some would say risky, idea. Well, you can just say he stole his whole flow. It was still in the whole flow, you know what I'm saying? His idea was to take Super Sentai and somehow cross it over for Western audiences. The result? Mighty Morphin Power. Premiering in 1993, it exploded onto the scene, quickly becoming a global sensation. Kids everywhere were hooked on the story of 5 teenagers with attitude battling the forces of evil. The toys, the movie, the catchphrases, it was unstoppable. But while Power Rangers became its own thing in the West, it never let go its Super Sentai roots. Every season, Power Rangers was pulling ideas, footage, concepts from its own Japanese counterpart. They would tweak just a certain amount of things with the story just to make it better for Western kids. Together, these franchises have become staples of action-packed team-based heroism, shaping childhoods across generations. It's this legacy that Go Go Ranger taps into, not just reimagining what the nostalgic show could be, because I'm pretty sure a lot of anime fans wanted Power Ranger anime, but we also get a tweak on what it means to be a ranger. So let's also learn a bit more about Go-Go Ranger itself. This series was created by Negi Haruba, a name you might recognize if you are a fan of the quintessential quintuplets. Quintessential quintuplets, quintessential quintuplets, quintessential to quintuplets, quintessential to quintuplets. Look, I tried to say that line so many times, and I was just making sure I could say that 4 times. Y'all try it. Oh my god. The Quintessential Quintuplets is a rom-com that was a hit for Haruba. But with Go-Go Loser Ranger, he takes a completely different direction, diving into the world of heroes, villains, and moral ambiguity. The manga debuted on Weekly Shonen Jump February 2021, drawing a unique twist to the Sentai tropes, and also drawing in fans for the genre and people who wanted something fresh. Yoestar Pictures is a newer studio that's making waves in the anime industry. They're known for adapting popular mobile games into high-quality animes, such as Arknights Prelude to Dawn and its follow-up series Arknights Perish in Frost. These adaptations are praised for staying true to the game's detailed lore and distant aesthetic. They've also worked on Azur Lane, a lighthearted slice-of-life series featuring the beloved characters from the Azur Lane universe. But Yoestar isn't just about adaptation. Their first original anime was Sorero Utility. It's a heartwarming story about friendship and self-discovery through golf. Initially released as a short standalone episode, it was later expanded into a full TV series, showcasing the studio's range and creative potential. With that said, Go-Go Loser Ranger is my very first experience with any of their projects. I'm not a big mobile game guy or anything like that, and I'm not gonna lie, as I was doing research for this is the first time I've ever heard of this studio. Go-Go Loser Ranger is a darker yet satirical take on the traditional Super Sentai genre. The story revolves around the Dusters, who are alien invaders forced to perform in an ongoing battle against the Dragon Keepers, a group of so-called heroes. However, these heroes are anything but noble. They exploit their position for profit, turning the battles into a public spectacle and manipulating their powers for fame. The main plot focuses on Duster D, who decides to fight back against the twisted system. Tired of being treated as a mere villain, he aims to infiltrate the ranks of the Dragon Keepers and defeat them from within. The story plays with tropes of superhero and villain dynamics, revealing the corrupt corporate side of the heroes and showcasing how the battle is not just for survival, but a struggle against exploitation. It has a interesting mix on dark humor, social commentary, and action, with themes exploring exploitation, fame, and the blurred lines between good and evil. I'd give the plot of Go-Go Loser Ranger a 2.5 out of 5. The story offers an interesting subversion of the typical superhero genre, with the focus on corrupt heroes and the exploitation of villains in high-stake publicized battles. Duster D's quest to dismantle the corrupt system from inside creates an engaging, darker narrative with lots of potential for characters developed in satire. However, the plot can feel somewhat chaotic and switch the themes. Some readers might find the tone shifts a little Overall, it's unique, but its execution might not be for everyone. The world of Go-Go Ranger is cleverly constructed. Its blending of the satirical take on superhero slash Super Sentai genre with the deep societal Commentary. The world is built around the premise of alien invaders called Dusters, who are forced to perform in stage battles against the Dragon Keepers, a so-called hero group that turns their heroic actions into a profitable entertainment spectacle. This system of exploitation is a unique twist, and the world is shown to be heavily influenced by corporate interests, with the Rangers turning their role into a form of branding and merchandising. The Dusters, on the other hand, are oppressed and stripped of agency, forced to play the villain role despite being actual invaders from another world. This duality of heroism versus villainy, with each side manipulated for public consumption, makes the setting feel both familiar and profoundly different. The world also delves into the consequences of fame, corporate manipulation, and media control, adding layers of depth to the seemingly simple premise. While the world building is rich, the pacing and the focus can sometimes feel disjointed. It is clear that the series is more about playing with these themes than fully immersing the viewer into the world that is Go Go Loser Ranger. Despite that, the concept of a corrupt, hyper commercialized world gives it a distinctive edge. And even though I said the world does give a unique mix of its satire and social commentary, it also does seem it takes a back seat to the immediate action and the character development in the story. Expanding on the mechanics of this society, the history behind the Rangers, commercializing, and the Dusters, backstories could definitely elevate the world building further. Look, it's very creative and critical on its look at media and exploitation, but it just leaves a lot to be fleshed out when it comes to the world building. So like I said, 1.8 out of 3. Character development is one of Go Go Loser Ranger's most standout features, specifically through their protagonist, Duster D. As the series progresses, D's transformation from a mere villain into someone who actively seeks to dismantle the corrupt system of Dragon Keepers gives the story a deeper, more personal edge. With his journey reflects a desire to escape the roles imposed on him and fight back against the exploitation of his people. This character arc touches on themes such as identity, autonomy, and resistance against oppressive systems. The show's exploration of Duster D's complex relationships with other characters such as Yumiko, who becomes a key ally, adds a layer to his character development. Their dynamic evolves as they work together, which shows a more human side to D, contrasting with his villainous exterior. However, some secondary characters like the members of the Dragon Keepers don't receive that much depth or development, with many of them staying static in their roles as the heroic figures in the show. This creates an imbalance where some characters feel more fleshed out than others, leaving potential for deeper exploration of the supporting cast. For character development, I'm going to go ahead and give Go Go Loser Ranger a 2 out of 3, mostly because of Duster D's character. The way that he goes from a villain to someone who's actively challenging a oppressive system is engaging and adds depth, well, a significant amount of depth, of emotional depth to the story. His internal struggle against the role he's been forced into and his growing partnership with Yumiko brings out some complexity. Many of the supporting characters, such as the Dragon Keepers, like I said earlier, doesn't get that much development. They remain somewhat one-dimensional, which leaves a bit of an imbalance on how the character arcs unfold. Some secondary characters do show potential, but their growth isn't explored as deeply as D's, which kind of holds the rating back a bit. The animation in Go Go Loser Ranger is solid, with a mix of dynamic action scenes and expressive characters. The fight sequences are fast-paced and fluid, which is key for keeping the intensity high. The visual style also reflects the more comedic moments as well, especially with the engaging expressions and choppy, colorful sequences that add to the satirical feel of the series. That said, the animation can sometimes feel a little inconsistent, especially in the quieter, more emotional scenes where the characters' designs seem less polished. The backgrounds and environmental details might not always be as detailed as they could be, and some action scenes feel a bit rushed. Given those factors in, I would give the animation a 2 out of 3. It's effective and it fits the tone of the series, but it doesn't always reach the level of polish that some other shows might achieve. For my positives, I want to go ahead and start by giving it a extra 0.6 for nostalgia. If you can take something that's from my childhood and give it a fresh look, repaint it, great concept, or put a little bend to the story like they did here, or like I say, mix something with a nostalgic theme or nostalgic story, from someone's childhood, and then actually give it or bring it into this current audience, like doing something like mixing the elements of The Boys, which is very popular, to something like Power Rangers, and it works, you got me. So yes, extra 0.6 for nostalgia. And the next thing I want to give it a bonus for is its outro. It's pretty fun. I normally skip outros. I mean, I can tell you hella fucking animes that I've watched that I love their opening, play their opening while I work out and all that stuff. But I literally don't have that many outros that I mess with. And one of these it makes you, be excited to go to the next episode. So I give the outro an extra 0.2 points. All right, on the negatives, I'm going to go ahead and take away 0.4 points for its inconsistent tones. Sometimes it would give a very serious vibe to the anime, but then switch up to comedic or not so serious moments in a blink of an eye, which I feel can hinder the viewer's attention or engagement to the show. So I'm going to go ahead and take away 0.4 points. Next thing I'm going to always take away points for is, and what I'm just going to take away a 0.2 for, only because it's early. Me reading the manga, I know that it's more depth to this to come, but that is for the undeveloped support characters. Like I said earlier, we don't really get too much into all the Rangers, not even really that, but we are more immersive of the character development and the adventure of the plot. So it does seems like some of the characters that's in the background really does take a back seat. I love when the side characters are developed as much as, or almost as much as, the main character. Because I don't know, I really have to go into a deep dive on why I like things like that. But I guess it's because of the adventure you're going through with the main character. It's sometimes I like not seeing the main character be the hero of the arc. That's why in Dragon Ball Z, the Android sagas, or at least the Cell game arc, is one of my most favorite arcs, because Gohan taking the mantle as hero and actually being the savior this time instead of Goku. Or, I mean, there's plenty other examples, but I love when things happen like that. Another one I want to bring up is One Piece. That's why it's my favorite. On how we get a character development, we get deep character development on each of the Straw Hat Pirates. And still to this day, we still have questions about their characters, or questions about their childhood or their upbringing. And sometimes we are given extra backstories to those characters. Example, Sanji. And then other stuff is like Black Clover where we get or at least we get some mid to high level character development or history in at least every Black Bull guild member. And I would say that for Fairy Tail too. It's a lot of animes you can use for Hunter x Hunter. It's a lot for that. I mean, I would say Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z is what started me wanting that. Naruto gave me more of that when I went to Naruto, because we were getting more development with Sasuke. We were getting development from other characters and favorites like Rock Lee, Kiba, Choji, Shikamaru, people like that. For example, Gaara, people, for example. But then, yeah, once I moved to One Piece, it gave me everything. Both didn't give me when it comes to support. But yeah, I'm rambling. I know I'm rambling. So yes, I'm taking off 0.2 points for undeveloped supportive characters. All right, final thoughts and total of the score that I have on Go-Go Loser. My final thoughts really is Go-Go Loser Ranger is a fun adventure, especially if you are a Super Sentai / Power Ranger fan and you love anime. Or if you know someone that's a fan of these things and you would like to enjoy it with them, especially with that twist, like I said, that's somewhat like The Boys. And or if you know people who know about grew up on Power Rangers and they want to get in anime, and you know they like The Boys, you can put them on to this anime. It also, like I said, gives an interesting concept through the world of dusters, which my generation would call a putty, or whatever other series of Power Rangers called their minions that used to get beat up all the time. I feel like that's very interesting that we're going to get this go through a story through one of their eyes. When it comes to the plot, I gave it a 2.5 out of 3. The world building, I gave it a 1.8 out of 3. The character development, I gave it a 2 out of 3. Animation was a 1.5 out of 3. I gave it a bonus 0.6 for nostalgia, a bonus 0.2 for its outro, and I took away 0.4 points for its inconsistent tones and how they can just be a little bit imbalanced, and also a 0.2 taken away for undeveloped supporting cast, which gives it a total of 8 out of 12. So it's still on the higher up on my scale. It's considered a good anime. I do recommend it, like I said, for anybody who loved the Power Rangers / Super Sentai genre of media. And I do think it does have room. Like I told y'all earlier, I read the manga, so we do have a lot more to come. So I do expect me having a part 2 for season 2, or I think it's part 2 of season. You know how they do. They releasing stuff wild. So there's supposed to be a part 2, either to season 1 or a season 2 that's coming out very soon. I can't wait till it comes out. I will be watching, I will be taking notes, and I will be giving you guys a second review on this. Maybe it'll add to the score, maybe it'll take it away. We'll see. What do y'all think about Go-Go Loser Ranger? Let me know if y'all agree with me in the comments, or if you disagree. I don't discriminate. I'm willing to discuss it with you. What do you think it needs more? Or do you think it was done perfectly? Or if you haven't checked it out, check it out and then let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff, and hit that bell, because when I upload my videos, you're going to want to see them. And I'm pretty sure another video is popping up right here, so go ahead and click that. You have a good one.